Life's unpredictable. Don't worry, we get it. With Post Insurance car cover, you can pay monthly by direct debit or in cash at the post office. Call us on 1890 222222 for a quote today. Post Insurance. Expect more. Acceptance criteria, terms and conditions apply. One Direct Ireland Limited, trading as Post Insurance, is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland. One Direct Ireland Limited is a wholly owned subsidiary of An Post. Instalments paid over 10 months, including a first instalment of 20%. A service fee of 7% applies.
Off the ball. This is News Talk.
Yeah, it is time for the football show. Hope you enjoyed all of that good stuff from Galway. You can check it all out on offtheball.com. Check out the podcast there and all of that best stuff of the night right there over the next few days into the weekend ahead of the big games. It is time for the football show, and Giles is standing by. We're going to be with John in just a second, but before all of that, I want to give you a pretty cool opportunity, because next Wednesday, August the 15th, we want you to join us and a host of GEA greats as we build up to the All-Ireland hurling and football finals. We're going to be live from the Guinness Open Gate Brewery. You can stay tuned to Off the Ball on air and on online as well for your chance to win tickets to that exclusive event. It's all with thanks to Guinness and their Bound Together campaign. Bound Together celebrating the power of the GAA to unite and heroes the fans and their passionate commitment and connection to their local communities. As part of the campaign, we've tickets to give away to the All-Ireland and football finals separately. Pretty cool prizes, and to do all of that, we're giving you a chance to enter and a chance to win. So just identify our mystery voice this evening who said this when he was asked to describe Keith Andrews' hair.
It's absolutely massive.
Yeah, we'll give you another run of that.
It's absolutely massive.
In every regard, obviously. Text your name and your answer to 53106 for 30 cents. We're going to announce the winner a little later in the show. And the competition, I must remind you, is for over 18s only. You can enjoy Guinness sensibly and visit drinkaware.ie. As I said, it is the football show. John Giles, good evening to you.
Evening, Adrian.
I wondered, John, before we get into the nitty-gritty of some of the games that are upcoming this weekend, and I suppose some of the main talking points that have dominated the summer, how you generally like to spend your transfer deadline day. Are you a Sky Sports News and Yellow Tie man, or how do you consume it?
Well, I watch it when I feel like it. I'd rather catch up on it than see all the rigmarole that goes on during the day.
Yeah. Has been a slightly less rigmarole today specifically. It's had, I don't know, some of the sort of usual energy that you get from the wheelings and dealings for whatever reason just seem to have been a little bit absent today.
Well, I think most of the clubs have done their business. I think most people are waiting for Manchester United. Are they going to do anything or not in the last day? But I'd say most of the big stuff has already been done. I mean, some of the years, Adrian, as we know, there's somebody had to go into Manchester United, had to go into Manchester City and all that. But that hasn't been the case this year.
The mildly sort of bizarre scenario, of course, as well, that the English window is shut while some of the other windows remain open. I know there's been a lot of gripes about it. It doesn't seem to make a huge amount of sense.
No, I mean, it should be around every day, in Europe, there should be a certain day where the transfer window closes, and that's the end of it. I mean, it's a bit odd, as you say, like in Spain, it doesn't close next week, so some business can still be done. But it certainly doesn't make sense anyway. No. Let's get into some of the games and some of the big talking points, John, that have dominated the summer. First chance to speak with you, obviously, ahead of the new season. So welcome back, obviously, I must say that. Thank you. I know you've been with us a couple of times over the summer. Obviously, United have sort of dominated a lot of the headlines, and they're going to open things against Leicester City tomorrow night. I mean, we are back to Mourinho, and I read one piece from Miguel Delaney during the week just on the general Mourinho timelines and where things tend to go cropper for him. And it's generally in year 3, and by all accounts from what we've seen over the last few weeks, that's exactly where he's headed. Well, it looks like it, Adrian. There's no doubt about that. The big problem is Pogba. I think that's been although Manchester United have been looking for players, I think the Pogba situation is the most important thing for Mourinho. And going back in time in Mourinho, what I found with him over the years, Adrian, if he gets off to a good start and everything is going great, it gets better. But if it's not going well, and he doesn't handle it very well then, I mean, you go back to the Pogba situation last year. I mean, I thought he handled that particular situation very, very badly. He actually humiliated Pogba publicly, and that's never the right thing to do with any player, but particularly Pogba. And then Pogba goes to the World Cup and finishes up a success. So the big question is, well,
why didn't Mourinho get the best out of him, like the French manager did?
Yeah.
No, so then even after the World Cup, Mourinho saying, "Well, you know, I hope he's learned what made him play well in France." He didn't give him any credit, so that's a big problem now. And as far as Manchester United are concerned, I mean, they haven't backed him in the transfer market, and there's a lot of talk about now Pogba wanting to move to go to Barcelona, and if that comes about, then I'd say Mourinho's stay at Manchester United would be in doubt.
He's not obviously just been critical of Pogba. This is something that Mourinho does, and like it's the tough love approach. Like at some point or another, you kind of think hasn't worked out at a couple of clubs. It doesn't seem to be working here. Maybe try something else.
Well, I think it is the way Mourinho is. You know, I don't think he can accept any blame for bad results. Adrian, I think he has to lash out, and in doing that, he makes the situation worse. Now, he's taken on the CEO at Manchester United as well because he hasn't got the players that he wants. And I think this is Mourinho again. If everything goes wrong or everything doesn't go right this year, it's not his fault. Is it Woodward?
Yes.
The CEO. It's his fault because he didn't get the players for me. But if you look at his record, I looked at it the other day in the paper. I mean, the amount of money he's spent, particularly on defenders over the last couple of years, has been phenomenal. And still he's on about, like, well, we need 2 defenders or at least 1 defender. So, I mean, he's really putting it up to the hierarchy at Manchester United. Now, whether and the Pogba situation will come into that. Now, whether they will stand for that remains to be seen. But I don't think it'd be any great surprise if they fell out totally, Adrian.
Like, it feels as if he's, in a lot of ways, it feels to me, the untrained eye, John, that he's almost getting the excuses in before it happens at all. And, like, that, that can also be a self-fulfilling prophecy in a lot of ways.
Well, I think that's the way he is. I don't think he can take any responsibility or blame for bad results, Adrian. So I think he's setting it up now. He knows he has the Pogba situation to sort out, and he thinks he doesn't have enough defenders, so he's hitting out. When it's not going well for him, he hits out at everybody. And it's whether Manchester United are prepared to accept that or not. I wouldn't be surprised if they didn't accept it.
Yeah,
because the Pogba, like, they paid 90 million for Pogba, and he's at the centre of all this now. So it's not a question of, well, do we stick with Mourinho, but do we lose Pogba in sticking with him?
Yeah.
That's it's a complicated situation at Old Trafford at the moment, and it's huge because it looks like they're not going to sign anybody before the deadline and all that, Adrian, you know.
Does he last the season, John, do you think, Mourinho?
I'd say it's doubtful. I'd say that it's a doubtful situation there because they've got to get off to a good start. The fans are not happy with him. Now Pogba's coming back, haven't had a good World Cup. That's another problem he has. Does he give Pogba the hard love that you mentioned early on, or does he try and get him back on side, or can he get him back on side? Because the agent is making big noises that Barcelona have him, and he wants to go away. And I wouldn't be surprised at that.
I saw one suggestion this week that Mourinho should make him club captain.
Well, Mourinho doesn't really believe in him, Adrian. You know, he's played well for France. And actually playing well for France has actually put more pressure on Mourinho. Because a lot of people would say, and I would say as well, why can he play well for France in the World Cup and doesn't play well for Manchester United and Mourinho? See, what Mourinho did last year was actually humiliated him publicly. It's very hard to pull back from that. You know, I think Deschamps must have obviously managed him better, and I didn't think he had a great World Cup early on, but in the semi-final and the finals he played particularly well. And then everybody's asking the question, well, why can't he play like that for Mourinho? Now, I don't think he wants to play for Mourinho now, having been humiliated last season. This is what I think is the big problem, or could be the big problem.
So to draw a veil over United for the minute, obviously the uncertainty, I suppose, maybe about Mourinho, the uncertainty to a degree about Pogba and, I guess, his position within the club in every regard, I guess. They were the best of the rest last year, and I mean, that, to be fair, was to Mourinho's credit, obviously. Where do you see them? I mean, are they title contenders this year as things stand?
I don't think so, Adrian. I think, obviously, Manchester City are favourites. The team I'd make favourite for to chase them or catch them or overtake them would be Liverpool.
Right.
Liverpool spent a lot of money in the summer, and they've spent money well. I mean, first of all, they've got a good goalkeeper. Alisson, is that his name?
Yes.
You know, he looks like a terrific goalkeeper, and it's the first time they've had a good goalkeeper, Adrian, with Klopp, anyway. And they bought a midfield player, Keita, is it Keita?
Naby Keita, yeah.
Yeah, you know, he looks like a good one. He bought another midfield player as well, didn't they?
Fabinho as well, and Shaqiri, yeah.
You know, she bought him and another lad as well. Was it
Fabinho, yeah.
You know, that's big signings for Liverpool. They never spent money for the last few years, big money like they spent now, and they've spent them in the right positions, in my opinion. So, along with the other players that they already have, I think they'll be the nearest contenders and serious contenders for the title with Manchester City.
We won't get a look at, I mean, you mentioned Alisson, and we're not going to get a proper look at, obviously, and to properly form an opinion of him until, I mean, several months presumably into the season. But I mean, and the woes that they've had, as you rightly say, up to this point, they're hoping are behind them. But it's a huge amount of pressure on this guy, isn't it, to perform and to not be what the last number of goalkeepers have been.
Well, yeah, I don't think that'll affect him, actually. I think that can be in his favour. The only reason they're being pressured on the other goalkeepers is because they haven't been any good, Adrian. You know, I think with this fella's coming in, he was first choice for Brazil, wasn't he, in the summer? And that includes the Manchester United goalkeeper. The Manchester City keeper, Edison.
Yes,
Edison.
yeah.
You know, he's been a real success for Manchester City last season. And if this guy is better than him, then he must be some goalkeeper. And also they've got midfield players in there, plus the Shaqiri,
yeah,
from Stoke. Like they've made big signings. I think they've made very, very good signings. And it's the first time he's had money. Really, Klopp. He hasn't really spent much money over the years. So I'd say they'd be very, very dangerous for as far as Manchester City is concerned.
It's going to be fascinating to see how it all melds together from Klopp's point of view, isn't it? I mean, even so in terms of, Keita comes in, he's a centre mid. Yeah. Fabinho comes in, he's a defensive midfielder. Shaqiri, obviously, on the wing. And Alisson, as we know. Where does it all leave Jordan Henderson, John, do you think? Is still room for him in that team?
Well, you know, Henderson is the original midfield holding player, Adrian, that I don't believe in. You know, I think Henderson is okay, but no more than okay. He very seldom passes the ball forward, for example. And I've seen him. I call him Mr. Captain. He's got all the affectations of the captain. He points here, he points there, he goes to the referee. But I think he does everything but doing the job that he should be doing. So I think Klopp would know that. Obviously, he's got these players in now. So what they need is a really creative midfield player, and hopefully, the players that they've signed they'll have one of those in there. They need that creative element in their team because they're all go, as we know. They're a go team with the forwards that they have. But sometimes our fault has been that at times when they've been two up, they don't need to go, Adrian. Just hold the ball and control the game at that particular time. They haven't had a player to do that at Liverpool. And I would imagine now that's what he's got now. And of course, the goalkeeper.
Yeah,
I don't think the fact that they haven't had a good goalkeeper will affect this goalkeeper.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, if he does halfway good, he's going to be 10 times better than the ones before him.
That's a fair point. 25 points was the gap, obviously, last season, John. I mean, you started out your comments by saying that you see them as contenders. I mean, without getting into a conversation about Manchester City just yet, it does feel like a particularly big bridge to gap.
Oh, it is. It was the consistency that they lacked, and that's what I'm saying. In some of the matches they played, Adrian, they'd be 2 up, and they finished 2-2. Actually, sometimes they'd be 3 up because they'd nobody to hold the ball at a certain times in the game and control the game. I mean, they were either scoring goals or losing goals. But what we did know last year, I mean, they beat Manchester City 3 times, didn't they? You know, so they know they're capable of going head-to-head with Manchester City. It was in the other games that they lost out on, games that they should have been winning. And I think in this season they'll be more consistent and much more consistent than they were last season. And again, if they can beat City in the head-to-heads, that there can be 6-pointers. So I just think with what they've signed, it will make them dangerous from Manchester City's point of view.
Just before we wrap on Liverpool and take a quick ad break, John, we need to mention Salah, obviously, and he's had his little injury worries over the last while as well, obviously, but presumably from a Liverpool point of view, they're hoping he's back and he's fresh and he's, in at least as much goal-scoring form as he was in last season. He's set the bar pretty high, obviously.
Yeah, I think he will, Adrian. The injury he got before the World Cup. He didn't play in the World Cup. So, he should be fresh and ready to go. I think the particular injury he had wasn't a complicated one. I think once it heals up, it heals up. It's not like bad knee ligaments and that which can come back at you. I think it was a straightforward injury, and and he's had a good rest. I think he could be as good, if not better, than last season with the players the new players they brought into the team.
Is it hard? We've mentioned sort of knitting those two conversations together. The new players coming in fairly key positions. He's obviously got used to a way of working last season with a particular bunch of players, whether, as you say, obviously question marks about some of them, but he's got used to that system. It seemed to work for him, and it might take a little bit of time before new players and a new way of doing things
I don't think so, Adrian.
Right.
No, I think if you got better players in, it'll be easier for him and better for him. The better the players you play with, the better you're going to be yourself. And in his case, he did extremely well, which wasn't a really, really productive midfield play. And they should have this season. I think it'd be even better.
Right. Liverpool fans are salivating, John, at the thought. Clearly, that's.
Well, it will, and the other players, and the other attacking players. Firmino, who's the other lad up front? Mane. Yeah, I think it'll suit them. They'll be even better. See, once you get good players in around, there's no doubt, the better the players you have around you, Adrian, the easier it is for you. And these proved themselves three terrific strikers last season. And hopefully now I think they will have better players in the middle of the field. I think they'll be very dangerous. Yeah. Very dangerous.
All right, we're going to take, thanks for the minute, John. We are going to take a quick break there, but we're back with you in just a few moments. We've got to talk City and Chelsea back after these.
Football on Off the Ball.
In association with the faster-than-ever Boyle Sports app for exclusive price enhancements on the biggest games around. Download it now. Boyle Sports. Time to play.
What cost for everyone to journey further? What cost? Oh, hi, madam. No, there's no extra cost. Fuel Good standard for everyone.
The fuel revolution has begun at Apple Green with Fuel Good, our most advanced fuel ever that's yours at no extra cost.
Person at pump 3, welcome to the revolution. Hurrah, pump 3!
Apple Green, low fuel prices always.
I've stretched marketing budget since I got my first job 40 years ago. Now I'm retiring, I'm going to stretch the joints of my fellow retirees as a qualified yoga instructor.
Retirement is not an end. It's the start of something new. At Standard Life, we've been working with financial advisors to help Irish people enjoy their second lives their way for over 180 years. Whoever your pension is with, talk to your financial advisor today about choices you can make to live your best second life with Standard Life. There's a lot to look forward to. Standard Life Assurance Limited is authorised by the Prudential Regulation Authority in the UK and is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland for conduct of business rules.
Fed up with increasing car and home insurance premiums? Well, check out AIG Insurance fair deal rates for car and home insurance that reward people with a good history. We'll give a good price for a good claims record. So get an AIG fair deal car or home insurance quote today at aig.ie or 1890 27 27 27 and see how much you could save. AIG Europe Limited is authorised by the Prudential Regulation Authority of the United Kingdom and is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland for conduct of business rules.
That's the sound of Kieran, relaxing with a book. Thanks to all the time he's saved on the laundry, he can fit more clothes in his new, large-capacity Zanussi 9kg washing machine that he bought from Harvey Norman. He got this washing machine for the low price of €379. It was delivered and installed using one of Harvey Norman's installation packages, and the old one was taken away free of charge. Visit Harvey Norman today, in store or online.
Go, Harvey, go! Back to school has never been as easy at Dunnes Stores, with easy care shirts and blouses from just €3.75 and complete stain control trousers and skirts from only €4.50. Don't forget, you can order online at dunnesstores.com before 10 p.m. Sunday to Friday for next day delivery. Dunnes Stores, always better value. See online for details, terms and conditions apply.
Off the ball. This is News
All
Talk.
right, you're welcome back to the football show on this Thursday evening. Delighted to have you along with us, and I'm delighted to say it's a special football show because John Giles is on the line. John, we've spoken about United and Liverpool. I know you were of the view that Chelsea were not in great position or great condition heading into the season pre-losing Thibaut Courtois. They're in a bit of a sticky patch now.
I wouldn't particularly fancy Chelsea, Adrian, to be honest. I think they made a mess of the whole Conte situation. He was a winner for them, and I think their behaviour towards him was awful. They forced him out, having won the league and the cup. However, they have a new manager in now, Sarri.
Yeah.
I think he's a big job on his hands. He's bought a player, Jorginho. Saw him in the match last Sunday. He looked, okay, tidy. I don't know if he's going to influence it. It was only the first match anyway I've seen him, but he's really going to influence it in a way that he should. They've got Kante coming back. They've got a new goalkeeper in. But I don't know. I think they've blown it in many ways. I think they had a winner there. Whether this fella's going to do it or not, but I think he's a big job in his hands. You know, they bought players. They bought Drinkwater, Barkley I don't think they're going to do anything for them. Morata up front hasn't been an answer. So this fella's a big job on his hands. I think I don't think they'll finish much better than last season, Adrian.
Right. They fifth, obviously. It's not a...
No.
Just on the new manager, like, he's had a couple of weeks with him, and you read some of the stuff like David Luiz speaking about Sarri. I love his philosophy. We play high with lots of possession of the ball. We play in a technical way. He's only had 2 weeks with them. It seems as if he's winning some of these players over, and I guess why wouldn't they speak positively about him when he's just in the goal?
But actually, I think if he was a really good manager, Luiz wouldn't be in the team.
Right.
He's the guy talking, because he's back in the team now and he's going to talk high. And actually, it's very difficult for players when they're asked about the new manager to say anything but that, to be honest, Adrian. They're not going to say, well, and he hasn't been very good and I don't really like him, and it doesn't happen. But I think it's a bad sign, actually, for Chelsea that Luiz is back in the team.
You saw a bit of him at the weekend. Was there anything noticeably different in terms of this philosophy that Luiz is talking about, or anything that stood out for you, something to watch from Chelsea for the season?
Luiz was as bad as ever.
Right.
That's right. I can't see. I don't rate him at all. And he's back in the team. I mean, Conte had him out. He's back in the team now, and I thought he was very, very poor in the community match last weekend, Adrian. I can't see it. They've got some good players. There's no doubt about Chelsea have some good players. Aspilicueta is very, very good. They've got Kante to come back into the team. They've got some very good players, but I don't think that they're going to be together in a way that Liverpool will, and certainly Manchester City.
It feels like we're talking here about a sort of a shootout between Liverpool and City, and I mean, maybe that shootout is similar to the way it was last season in terms of the differential between 1 and 2. I was watching one of the preview shows during the week. Pep Guardiola jumped into a conversation with Jamie Carragher and Gary Neville, and they were just talking about the approach for the season ahead. So teams have obviously got used to looking at this City team and the way they play, and I think Guardiola's aware of that. So he's talking about trying to make a few tweaks within the philosophy. Almost, John, how much improvement is there? I mean, difficult to improve on 100 points, clearly.
Well, it can be improved. I think the longer the players are together, the better they should get. They got Mendy coming back into the team at left back, who was injured for most of the season. Adrian, they brought Mahrez from Leicester, who should be an important thing to them. I don't think it's a question of tweaking anything. Actually, you know, when you're playing football, it's not the plan that wins the fight. It's good players, and what good players do, they adapt to any given situation, Adrian. So I can't see anybody saying, oh yeah, we know how Manchester City play and we can do it against them. I mean, Liverpool did it last year, playing the way they played, and City didn't play really well in the matches, but that they had a consistency week in and week out. I can only see Manchester City getting better. I can see Liverpool, as I said early on, getting better and closing the gap on them. I think Liverpool can improve much more on their particular situation last year than Manchester City can, because Manchester City were exceptionally good.
Yeah.
But I hope that makes sense.
Total sense. I wonder, John,
Manchester City will continue to play, and I think in the team, if the attitude is just as good as it was last season, which I'm sure it would under Guardiola, then they can get better.
I wonder, given what happened in Europe last season, if there's there will be a big focus on the Champions League this season. Yeah. I wonder if that'll be to the point where they ease off a little bit on the Premier League, knowing that easing off a little bit will still get the job done.
I don't think they'll ease off. I think, top players don't ease off. They take every match they come, and it has a big squad. You see, that's the thing now, and they're all top-class players. So we can actually rest players, Adrian. Like he's only had, one stab at the Champions League. And, like, if you look at it, it's that big improvement since he's only been in the job 2 years. And he didn't do anything in the first year, but they won the league, ran away with the league, and won the League Cup.
Yeah.
So that's not a bad start, and they'll get better. So they'll take the Champions League on as it comes, but I don't think they'll have to. I don't think they'll ease off in any way in the domestic competitions and still be okay. The squad is good. You can add to it in the next window, and I think you can rest players and be well able to win the league again and the Champions League.
I want to ask you a bit, I know there's an expectation there obviously from a City point of view, like you wonder even from a fan's point of view if they're content with having won the Premier League and maybe the Champions League is where it's at. Just one before we leave City, John, because I want to wrap on briefly on Spurs before we wrap. You mentioned Mendy a bit earlier on, and Guardiola spoken this week about the energy that he brings and how it might almost facilitate City attacking in a different way is what he talks about. Does that make sense to you? That sort of what do you see from that? Like
from Mendy?
Yeah, and in terms of how that might facilitate.
He's had good players in there. This fella's even better, but he adds to the squad, Adrian. Like if you have a big squad like that, and these are all good players. They proved it last year. He can rest players. If it comes to the Champions League or they're playing too many matches, he can really rest them. This is Mendy coming back into another player. He's brought a lad from Leicester, so he's another very, very good player that can come into it. So I think that's an improvement on last season, and I think they're more capable of winning the Champions League along with the Premiership more this season, next season than last season. And Spurs. You mentioned Spurs.
Yeah,
they've done nothing. I think Matt Pochettino has his hands tied behind his back. This guy is determined not to spend money. The chairman there. I think it's and they're starting about players leaving as well. So I don't see how they can be any better whilst other clubs are buying players in and they're not improving their squad. So I can't see them getting any better. I think he's got a very, very difficult job. Actually, I'm surprised he stayed at Spurs because of the situation there.
Because of his own ambition, almost. Yeah,
very, very. Yeah. I thought he'd go because. All the other clubs are doing what they're doing, as we see. Liverpool are spending money, Arsenal are spending money, City are spending money, United are trying to spend money. So I can't see how they can improve. They're certainly not improving the squad. That proved not over the season not to be as good to challenge for trophies as the other teams around them. So there's no improvement there.
Yeah, we definitely were a team that have obviously gone close over the last couple of years, and I think people were hoping that they might spend a bit and kick on a bit, but it doesn't seem it's going to be that way. John, absolute pleasure. I look forward to catching up with you again over the next few weeks, and enjoy the games of the weekend.
Yeah. Thanks, Adrian.
Thanks a lot. John Giles there on the line. As always, as he's been for well over a decade, on off the ball, John Giles in conversation with us previewing the weekend. It all kicks off, obviously, tomorrow night, Manchester United against Leicester City. Newcastle and Tottenham is the early game on Saturday, and then into a pretty busy schedule after that, a couple of live games as well on off the ball. On Sunday, Southampton, Burnley and Liverpool, West Ham. I'm sure lots of people are going to be interested in. They're both 1:30 starts on Sunday, and then the big one, obviously, Arsenal against City. That's almost it from us for the minute. Earlier on, though, we did ask you to identify our mystery voice. It was, of course,
it's absolutely massive,
Davy Fitz, and congratulations to Colin Stewart. well done to you, who's won himself a pair of tickets to come along to our show at Guinness's Open Gate Brewery next Wednesday, the 15th of August. You're also, Colin, in the running to win tickets to either the All-Ireland hurling or football final. It's all with thanks to Guinness's Bound Together campaign. And if you missed out tonight, we're going to give you another chance to win tomorrow night. Don't forget as well, by the way, OTB AM. Some say it's the best OTB AM of the week on a Friday. It's live across our social channels from 7:15 tomorrow morning. You can catch us on YouTube, Facebook and on Periscope as well. Dave McIntyre is going to be in alongside myself and Owen. And I've also been in conversation with Chris Kamara this week, so that's coming your way, at least a part of coming your way tomorrow. We're back in the evening tomorrow from 7 o'clock as well, and Off the Ball. Loads of good stuff as we preview the 2 All-Ireland Senior Football semi-finals. Galway against Dublin on Saturday, Monaghan and Tyrone on Sunday. Tom Dunn is up next here on News Talk, and from us for the minute, we'll chat to you tomorrow. Good luck.